Let's walk through security control types and categories you'll need to recognize for the Security Plus exam. This is a high-value topic because questions often combine two ideas at once: what the control does and how it is implemented. Your goal is to identify both the purpose of the control and the category it belongs to, based on how the scenario is described. We'll begin with control types, focusing on what the control is trying to accomplish. If a scenario describes stopping an attack before it happens, you are dealing with a preventive control. Preventive controls are designed to block threats entirely. If you see firewalls, encryption, or access control mechanisms, think preventive. The key idea is stopping the attack before it starts. Now, if the control doesn't actually stop the attack, but instead discourages someone from attempting it, that is a deterrent control. Deterrent controls influence behavior. If you see security cameras, warning signs, or visible guards, the goal is to make attackers think twice, not physically stop them. Now let's go deeper, because this is where exam questions get tricky. If a scenario describes identifying or discovering that an attack has occurred, that is a detective control. Detective controls focus on visibility and awareness. If logs, alerts, or monitoring tools are involved, your focus should be on detection, not prevention. If the question continues and describes fixing or restoring systems after the issue is identified, that is a corrective control. Corrective controls come into play after detection and are focused on recovery. If systems are being repaired, patched, or restored from backup, that is your indicator. Now let's move into situations where ideal solutions are not possible. If a scenario describes implementing an alternative control because the preferred one cannot be used, you are dealing with a compensating control. Compensating controls provide a substitute that still reduces risk. This is often tested when something cannot be implemented due to cost, compatibility, or operational constraints. Finally, if the question describes policies, procedures, or instructions that guide user behavior, you are looking at a directive control. Directive controls tell people what they should do. If the scenario includes training, policies, or guidelines, the focus is not enforcement, but direction. Now that you understand what controls do, let's connect that to how they are implemented, because this is where questions often combine both ideas. If a control involves physical objects or tangible measures, such as locks, guards, fences, or surveillance cameras, that is a physical control. Physical controls protect actual spaces and hardware. When the question describes something you can physically touch or see, think physical. If instead the control is implemented through technology, such as firewalls, encryption, access control systems, or intrusion detection, that is a technical control. Technical controls use systems, software, or hardware to enforce security. If the control is based on policies, procedures, training, or organizational processes, that is an administrative control. Administrative controls define how security is managed at a human and organizational level. These are often confused with directive controls, so here's the distinction. Directive describes what the control does, while administrative describes how it is implemented. Now let's tie everything together the way the exam expects you to think. If a question describes stopping an attack using a firewall, that is a preventive technical control. If it describes cameras discouraging theft, that is a deterrent physical control. If logs are used to identify suspicious activity, that is a detective technical control. If a system is restored after an attack, that is a corrective technical control. If a workaround is used instead of a standard solution, that is a compensating control, and it could be technical, administrative, or physical depending on the scenario. And if a policy tells users what they must do, that is a directive administrative control. The key pattern to remember is that every control has both a function and a category. The function tells you what it does, like prevent, detect, or correct. The category tells you how it is implemented, like physical, technical, or administrative. The most important takeaway is to break the question into two parts. First, ask what the control is doing. Second, ask how it is being implemented. If you can identify both, you will eliminate almost all incorrect answers immediately. If you can recognize those patterns and avoid confusing prevention with detection or administrative with directive, you'll be able to move through these questions quickly and confidently on the exam.